actually on my website, it's on one of my recommended, it's a recommended book on there.
On getcoach.com?
On getcoach.com, under the resources. So the 5 love languages, actually they talk about that we communicate love the way we want to receive it. So for you, you want to receive love in the form of physical touch, so you express love that way. And other people might be a gift giver. So you might express love by giving gifts. So maybe you make a beautiful homemade dinner and you're giving that gift of your time, your energy, and you give that to him and he's like, yeah, well, a burger would have been fine too. Because what he would like would be the physical touch. So that's something that maybe your viewers would also benefit. It's probably at the local library, the 5 love languages, and learn that concept. And it also works with how you express love for your children. You might want to give them a big hug, and they just might want you to listen to their story.
Good point. Yeah, that sounds like hitting the nail on the head with that, though, don't you think? I think that becomes the issue. Is like I feel like he knows I don't like that tickling, and he keeps doing it, and that's why I feel like it's
I'm really trying to remember the last time I tickled her.
See, he doesn't like it either now.
Okay, great. So what we were talking about, though, is finding things you appreciate about your mate. So no matter how much we might annoy one another, and every day, all of us in our marriages, and we've got our own idiosyncrasies. So notice, maybe you appreciate that, he went out and worked hard all day, and you can say, hey, thanks, I really appreciate that you worked outside of the house. Or maybe someone can appreciate their mate who worked inside the house. Maybe they can appreciate clean laundry. They can appreciate little tiny things, beautiful blue eyes that you both have. Maybe you can stop and notice and appreciate that about each other and express it. So what that's doing is what you appreciate appreciates. It grows, okay? Think of it as a financial investment, right? That's appreciating. So where you put appreciation, you get more of that. So it's really hard, especially for couples who are unhappy. It's so much easier to dwell on the unhappiness than it is to look for and find that little thing you appreciate.
Well, I guess the unhappiness is just right there. It's at the top of your head or at the tip of your tongue. But finding the things that in that moment or in that time frame when you're not getting along is what you have. I guess we talked a little bit once before about reticular activating system. You're finding things to pay attention to. So having those things in front of you, brings that more to you. So you're thinking of a positive thing about your mate, and it's going to find more positive things. Whereas I guess when we're dwelling in the moment, we're thinking of the negative thing, and of course more keeps piling in. It's like you did this and you did that.
When you focus on everything
what you
that
focus
you don't
on,
like
you bring
about.
more to, right? Yeah. Okay. Great.
Okay. So the awareness of the situation, then you find things to appreciate about your mate, and where do you go from there? What's the next
thing
step?
is physical touch. And
I was hoping we'd get to the subject soon.
This is what makes your mate not your roommate is that you get to touch them. So if you're truly roommates with one another, then someone's doing the garbage and someone's doing this, but you're not touching. So that's what makes a marriage or a committed relationship unique, is physical touch. So in a situation like this, where you've got your arm sort of around Sandy, but you're trying not to push him away. You're trying not to tickle. Or if you could put your hand on his knee. See, now that feels like a connection, I'm sure. Do you feel the difference?
I do. I think sometimes I realize that doing this makes him think he could tickle me more, or that kind of thing. I think it leads him
I don't want to keep going back to the tickling, but
I think it leads him on sometimes. If there's sometimes there's a pattern.
Heaven forbid she lead me on.
Poor Carla.
We are the real parents, after all.
So doing this, I think sometimes he thinks that that's an open door to be like, oh, okay, now I just, and I think that's sometimes why we tend to not do that.
You guys crack me up.
We have that effect on people.
Yes.
Okay.
If you want to be a guest on our show, be prepared to laugh.
And cry a little bit.
Yes.
So physical touch. So we're not talking about physical intimacy, okay? We're talking about reaching out, when you're driving in the car, someone's driving, put your hand on their lap, give a little neck rub, hold hands under the table at dinner, demonstrate in front of your children some hugging, and some neck rubs, and some back rubs, and be physical with each other, because it does make a difference, even if your heart might not be in it at the moment. to express yourself as part of this couple, as part of this union in that way, is what will help reverse roommate syndrome. That's what's going to bring you back to the couplehood.
Okay.
And one thing I'll just throw out there, Sandy, for us moms, especially when our children are little, we kind of get our tank filled with physical touch, right? Because
Yeah.
we've got someone hanging on the leg, and we're carrying one here, and we're dragging one there, and everybody wants
That's
mommy, 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 generally.
Yeah.
And daddy as well. But I mean,
Yeah,
women, in general, women seem to be like, okay, everybody back off.
Yeah, and
No,
you're also
I
nursing
hear
a baby
that.
for a year. You got a baby attached to you for a year, and so.
I can see that with traditional moms and things like that, but I had and believe me, I love my kids more than saltwater taffy. But just this past weekend, there was kids all over me constantly, and I was kind of like, okay, enough. I just needed that.
So he got his fill.
But not from my wife,
You're right.
which is a different touch. I think.
But,
yeah,
it is
yeah.
totally a different touch, but sometimes for women with their own children, it can kind of meet that same need.
Right.
So it is about pushing yourself outside the comfort zone, having that awareness, yes, I want my marriage to be filled with intimacy, with emotional connection,
Right.
with communication, with gift giving, with touching, with all the things that make the marriage special. And to do that, I might have to just reach over and touch him.
Right. Okay.
Or her.
And in your case, that's easy. I mean, and it's not to be, stereotypical, but generally men are more interested in the physical touch than women are.
Right.
So,
Right. So
how
now,
we're made.
where would we go from there then?
So would it be, if I could just, a quick
Yeah.
question, you mentioned that book, the five love
Five
languages.
languages, yes.
Would it be a good idea, I guess it's a kind of rhetorical question, but to incorporate each of those five languages into your daily routine with your mate, or should it be just more focused on the one or two that's most important to them? What do you think?
I think it's about discovering what's your mate's love language and then starting to communicate that language. So just like our children as babies are learning to speak, or my children are learning to speak foreign languages in school, you want to learn to speak that language. So I'm not sure if I can remember all of the languages, but there's physical touch, there's gift giving,
There's Labrador.
there's verbal barking. there's,
Mike does the barking too.
I shouldn't
Yeah.
have done that.
there's
We threw you off now.
right, verbal communication. Sorry, I can't think of what they all are. But I mean, if you had to, what would be your ideal thing if you guys come home from a busy day of working and seeing clients, and you finally get a chance to sit and relax? What would be most important to you for Mike to do for you to feel close to him and connected?
Probably a shoulder rub. Shoulder massage, yeah, or foot rub, or something. That's
So
always.
that is a physical touch.
Yes, yes. So what? Yeah. So for Mike, I don't know what would be yours.
Definitely the same, because I feel that's where I feel we miss the connection as roommates to
Yes.
more intimate married couple, is that distinguishing factor that sets it apart is, to me, is the physical aspect of it.
Exactly.
I mean, you can sit with your roommate and talk about goals, dreams, and aspirations, but until you have that type of physical connection, I think that it still remains roommate syndrome.